Bună seara, sunt Alexandru Răducanu și în această seară la Sănătate, Trup și Suflet avem o corespondență specială din Statele Unite ale Americii, pentru că este 4 iulie, ziua independenței. Roxana Iliescu se află în Statele Unite ale Americii și vorbește cu câțiva dintre cei mai importanți specialiști ai metodei Journey. Roxana, ai legătura.
Alexandru, bună seara la voi, bună ziua la noi e foarte, foarte cald acum și da, am deosebită plăcere să i-am pe lângă mine pe 65 dintre practicienii metodei de Journey din întreaga lume. Mai multe detalii despre The Journey probabil că vom vorbi în această oră și vă spune exact despre ce este vorba. Dacă știți deja, Brandon Bass este cea care a pus cumva împreună cu datele aceste metode de autovindecare. Iar lângă mine, și de aici am să am permisiunea voastră să vorbesc în engleză, să i-am pe 3 dintre practicieni veniți cumva din întreaga lume, din Australia, din Israel, din Africa de Sud, apoi mutat în Australia, vedea lucruri extrem de interesante despre cum practic poți să accesezi autovindecarea, cum poți să aduci și autovindecarea prin spiritualitate, prin vindecarea sufletului în corp. Și în același timp să trăiești din viața asta pe care o avem, viața de zi cu zi, fără să trebuie să te duci să te retragi în I've just said a few words about the Journey method and how it's a way of living, fully living life, but with the truth always with you, and how you can access healing and also body healing through spiritual instruments. And you are a surgeon, and I loved very, very much before when you told me that the connection between your, let's say, that your day-to-day and journey is that it has everything to do. It's actually the same thing.
Really, I like surgery and I like cutting, but I'm actually a family practitioner or general practitioner.
Yeah.
So my day-to-day work is dealing with people with all sorts of issues.
Uh-huh.
And it really is very difficult for me now to separate mind, body, spirit, emotions in dealing with physical presentations. And I'm not sure I'm answering your question, but that's my approach.
Well, actually, I like the way you said journey is like a surgery of soul. You just go there and
it's
take away stuff. You don't bring anything.
Taking away what's causing the problem. Yes.
And what could you take away? Because people, they don't understand. When you say, let's work with spiritual method, let's go into your soul, it sounds so, I don't know, out of the world.
It's not quite like that. And you've got to be a lot more careful with that. And it's about helping people to understand that it's not only the physical presentation, but how they are, what makes them up. The sorts of stresses in life, the sort of issues in life which may be manifesting physically. And the job is to try and help them understand that there is another dimension to the illness if they're open to it.
Okay, but how difficult it was for you, actually, as a physician?
Very.
Okay.
I was reluctant at first. I wasn't comfortable with this at first, but for various reasons I came to understand that this was an important part of dealing with people as a whole. And I had my difficulties in the beginning, but after a while I began to see the importance of it, and I brought this into my practice, and I brought journey work in and have now integrated it completely so that everything that I do with people is seamless through emotional, psychological, mental, physical stuff.
I'm so grateful that you agreed to discuss with us, because in Romania it is quite an issue between medical doctors and the therapists. The medical doctors, they are used to say stop. Even they say the fraud. Don't fool people into saying that they can heal themselves. They need medicines. Without medicines, they will die.
What's the question?
The question is, where is the way in between?
The way in between is to work with people, is to have a relationship with people, and to, when you have a relationship, then what you talk about, you can talk about anything in that relationship and all things become possible. And at the beginning it's about, yes, okay, this is Western medicine, and Western medicine says use drugs or have operations or something. But along the line, when you're working with somebody, you come to understand that they're more than just their body. They're more than just the physical aspect that Western medicine tends to concentrate on. And then you can start to work in both areas. So one is not exclusive of the other. And Western medicine is very good at some things, and to ignore it is silly in my opinion. But it doesn't provide the answer for everything, and there are times when you really need to show somebody that if they can deal with the emotional and psychological issues in their life, there will be a much healthier outcome.
So they could actually do both, because of course there's another approach which is radical also with some therapists, that they say give up the medicine and just stay with me and with my therapy.
Well, the middle road is the right road.
Okay, so still trust the doctor. Of course, when you have a pain, when you have when you need emergencies.
Yeah. Look, if you get into trouble, there are certain ways of dealing with it. But what I said to you about the relationship is the most important thing. When you trust your doctor, you trust your physician, and they are open to dealing with all parts of you, then that is the road, in my opinion, to the best health outcome that there can be.
What was the moment that you clicked, when you really felt that there is something more than the traditional medicine, Western medicine?
That moment?
Yes.
What about it? It was difficult, because I had to change from where I was to where I knew I needed to go. And I had to overcome my own resistance to go there.
Oh. So what was the drive? Why did you do it?
I always felt that there was something more than what my training offered me. And I searched for many years through various modalities, looking for something that could help people get to the essence of who they are, so that they could be healed in a holistic sense. And I came across Journey after trying many other things, and that held promise, and I'm glad I started it.
How would you describe in, few words, Journey method?
I think one of the next speakers will be a better person to ask than me.
No, I want your approach.
The Journey method? All right. Essentially, emotional release. Learning emotional intelligence, finding the memories, the beliefs, the promises that you make yourself at early ages that run in the background, that dictate your behavior, your memories, the way you see the world, and to show you that these belief systems may not be healthy for you, and to resolve them in a number of techniques.
And what can you change if you resolve these beliefs? What can be changed on day-to-day life?
Change the way you see the world. You change the way you react to situations. You don't become buried or lost in that old stuff, and you have a fresh approach, and you're free of it, and you can see the world for perhaps what it is. The goal ultimately, I think, is to bring yourself into the world and be the best possible version of you that you can be.
Can you give me some examples from your own life or from your patients that they just turned their life like that
around? Look, I think we've all got stories like that. Sometimes one intervention, one process can make significant changes in someone's life. Sometimes it's slow, steady work before changes are seen, and it depends on the person, it depends on their personality, it depends on their character, and it depends what's wrong with them and how willing they are to want to change.
Can you give me one example?
Nothing comes to mind. I can talk about my experience.
Yes.
So I've certainly had a pituitary tumor, which is a growth at the base of the brain,
okay,
which is related to breast milk production. So it's called a prolactinoma. And I was diagnosed with that, and it was proven and treated with Western medical techniques with drugs. But I wasn't happy with that, and I went into my old memories of myself as a young child, because breast milk is associated with nurturing.
Yes.
And there were a lot of childhood, boyhood, babyhood issues, and when they were cleared, the tumor cleared.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Proven.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you tell more often this story even to your colleagues?
It's not that easy. My colleagues speak a different language.
You spoke also, and you can speak that language.
It's not evidence. That is a story. Anecdotal stories do not provide evidence. A different approach is needed for the profession.
Which approach?
You need to do research, you need to collect evidence, you need to show that what you're doing is provable and sustainable.
And how about medical miracles? Because they do happen.
We all accept them, but again, that's not evidence. That's not going to change anybody's behavior.
Oh, okay. How would you describe international medicine in 5 years from now?
I wouldn't. There's no way I'd do that. Look, bottom line, work on yourself and effect major changes. Just one step at a time, make small changes for yourself, and see the changes expand globally. That's the way it works.
I just want you at the end to give me, it has nothing to do theoretically with the journey, but you just told me about a very beautiful book, and just recommend it to the viewers now. That really, it's actually the essence of the journey method.
Well, it's a book called Dying to Be Me by a lady called Anita Murjani. She's a lady who lives in Hong Kong, or did, as far as I know. And she describes in her book how she was so very ill with lymphoma and how she died. And then the rest of the book is the story of what happened after that.
And how she came back.
How she came back, what happened in between the period of her dying and her coming back, what she learned, and how she changed her life as a result of that.
And she completely healed herself.
and I leave the viewer to go and read the book.
Oh yeah, definitely. So can you say it again?
Dying to Be Me,
Dying to Be Me.
Anita Moorjani, and she's written a second book as well, which I haven't read.
I cannot wait to read it as well, but I just find it very dear to my heart already, because yes, it's the essence of any healing, that you have everything you need. You don't need the help from outside. You just, maybe you need a mirror, maybe you need a push, maybe you need something. Then you do the work.
I'm more open than that. I think sometimes we do need help, and as I said at the beginning, be open to getting help from wherever, using the best of what each field has to offer. Because sometimes, for example, if you have high blood pressure or diabetes, you need to control that physically so that damage doesn't happen, and that can then buy you time or space to go and do whatever other work you want to do.
To go to the roots.
Yeah. So use the best of everything. Don't go this way or that way solely. Just be sensible and use common sense.
Thank you very much. I think it's the best advice you could have given. Just to use whatever you feel it's appropriate for you, and whatever comes to you.
Be open and explore. Yes.
Thank you. And thank you. He's done an amazing pictures. I think you will see on Facebook of what we are doing here, because here actually we are not gathered to work. We are going to gather to celebrate and to have a normal holiday. So that is actually all about how to live life intensely day by day. Thank you very much, and I will invite now my second guest tonight, and is coming from Israel, and Irit, and coming from a total hello,
hey.
And coming actually from a very business environment and computer environment, so it's nothing that I would know about. And now you are the presenter of the journey method in Israel, and you're a therapist. And how did that happen in your life? How come? I know you were a very successful businesswoman and manager.
Yes, I was working in the high-tech industry, in the telecom industry, and I was a region manager. I was a director in one of the high-tech companies, and I was one of those guys who was more in the air rather than on the ground. I was flying all the time. I was spending time especially in the Far East, in Singapore, Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, and I was working very hard, really from sunset to from sunrise to sundown. It was like really this. That was the whole essence of life, just working. And you probably know that this world is really tough. And I've been living like that for years, and I've been quite successful, and I've been doing well. But there was always something. It's like I didn't get life. That couldn't be life. Life should be more than that. And it was like I had two centers. It was one center, which was me, how I felt inside, which this is not it. And there was another one, which was the outside world, which was everything was flowing, everything was running, everything was actually successful. And they didn't coincide. It was this center and this center, and I was like torn between the two. I was upset from the inside, but was happy on the outside.
Oh, like wearing a mask, actually.
Like wearing, yeah, I don't think I didn't admit it to myself that I'm not happy. I just felt this really deep unhappiness inside. It was like there's a big frustration there that this is not it. And
I think a lot of successful persons are filling the void.
It's very personal. I couldn't tell. I mean, I guess if I did that, a lot of other people did, because I'm a normal person. There's nothing special about me. So I can tell you that if you spend so much time in work and in this effort, and there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of running after yourself, after the problems, after running everything. I mean, I've been running a project with over $20 million, and that was a big project, and it took like 2 years, 3 years, and and you can't sleep, and really it takes over your life, whatever life you have left.
Yes.
And so must be that other people feel that as well. but it's very personal. It's not like you wear it on your sleeve. People don't go around and say, I don't like my life.
No, because nobody would believe that.
Yeah, and because also it's not a place you want to be in.
Yeah.
It's like if you say I don't like my life, so go and change it. You need to admit it first to yourself, and that's the key.
That's tough.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it voluntarily, actually, I must admit. You know, the financial crisis.
Oh.
And 2003, and actually it took a while, and then companies started collapsing. And in 2005, I was actually fired because they switched management and another management and on the third management, they also let me go because every new management kind of fired more people and more people. And they let me go, and I was, of course, very offended, very upset. But I would say that I didn't rush to go and look for another job. It's like something inside told me, hey, wait. And they did call me back after less than a month, twice. Would you like to come back? We're sorry fired you, we have a new job for you, And something inside told me, no, this is not the life you want. It took me a few years. I looked for all kinds of stuff, mainly what do I want to do. Wasn't easy. It's like you need a definition. This is what I want to do. Now I don't do this. You look for another definition. They want, maybe I do this, maybe I do. You need like to define your life. What I took like, I think exactly 5 years, and I met the journey, but totally by accident. I heard about it.
What have you heard?
Actually, I saw something on the internet, and I picked up the phone to a friend of mine who knows everything about all the seminars, about everything there is. And I called her up, said, listen, did you hear about it? She said, it's good. Go and learn it. It's a good thing. And then I went. I didn't even read the book before I did. I just trusted her. And I must say, first day, or maybe the second day, I really got it, and I in Hebrew say, I fell from the chair. I fell off the chair. It's like I said, this is amazing. Like I was through a process. I went, journey goes in.
What is this journey again?
Okay, journey is an emotional healing system. We believe that in any phenomena we have, behavior, physical, emotional, psychology, any phenomena we have has an emotional base to it, emotional root to it. What the journey does is, through feeling emotions, find the very crystallizing moment that phenomena occurred, and what emotion is there, which is actually stored in our memory, in our cell memories.
Yeah.
And what we do, if I can say, we kind of fix it. Of course we can't fix a memory. What we can do, we can teach our body or our system, our whole system, that there is a better way of dealing with that emotion, with that stress, with that uneasy feeling that I felt on that very crystallizing moment that actually was burnt into my cell memory. Mm-hmm. So what we do, it's actually a very simple, structured process that is going by asking questions, feeling emotions. Through the emotions, of course, emotions are like smell. It brings, if you stay with it enough, it brings on memories. Yes. You go somewhere and you smell something that reminds me of my grandmother.
Yes.
Emotions are the same. If you let yourself feel something for a long enough time, it will bring up memories. Where did I feel like that before?
Because each, each happening brings other emotions for different persons.
Yeah, very true. It's very personal. It's your own memory. And we can go through the same experience, yes, and you'd love it to death, and I'd hate every minute of it. Or vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's very, very personal. Our reaction is very, very personal according to all our set of beliefs and emotions and experiences in the past. And it's enough that my mother said something to me when I was 3 years old, which said, never do that. And if somebody comes to me with doing that, I'll be terrified because I'm not supposed to.
You don't remember why.
Ne-am întors la București, de la legătura noastră din Statele Unite. Vedem că această metodă Journey este o metodă care leagă toate întâmplările din viața noastră cu anumite amintiri subconștiente. Dau din nou legătura colegii mele din Statele Unite pentru a doua parte a interviului ei.
Everything really can change because we are connected full potential. That's where we do the journey process part.
I see. And in your experience, what happened in your life? And then what happened with the others that you work with?
Oh, okay. That's a long one. You need to stop me. But I can tell you about myself because really this is what we do with the journey. We're talking about our own experience.
Yes.
Now it's very hard to transfer an experience. Like I could tell you it feels great, but it wouldn't tell you anything.
Yeah,
it's like I tell you, it's like eating something or smelling something. It's a great smell or it tastes wonderful, but until you taste it, you cannot know what I'm talking about. And the same thing with the journey. So I can tell you what happened to me. I can tell you my experience. What happened is I had no idea what I'm going through, what I'm going to learn. And slowly, I actually realized on my first seminar that it is a very, very powerful tool. So by the way, I didn't wait even for the next seminar to come to Israel. I actually flew over to Europe to get the next seminar and the next seminar. And I was, I kind of, what the journey does for you, it kind of takes off peels and layers and masks and protections that you have on yourself, and it kind of really opens you up to be your real self, your true self, without all those things that you don't need, that you actually accumulated over years.
But when you are a child, you are told that you need those masks.
And you probably did. You probably did. Even if you were not told, you adopted it because it protected you at that time, because it was a fearful or insulting or whatever situation it was, and you put this mask on because it protected you. But you don't need that anymore. You're a grown-up. And what we do with the journey is we go back to that moment when you were a child, and we teach that child inside ourselves that you don't need it anymore. It is safe because, like you said before, you have everything within you. You don't need that affirmation from everybody else because you can tell yourself that you're okay. You don't need that approval. You don't need that love. Well, we all need love, but if you have enough love within you, you're not hungry for everybody else's from the outside. So if you have this confidence within yourself, you're not looking for the assurances from the outside. If you have this love within yourself, it's great to receive that love, but you're not dependent on it. If you have this...
you're not devastated if you're not getting any.
Exactly. You're not dependent on it. This is what the journey, it really brings you very close to your really full potential, full ability, everything that you are yourself. And once you do that, you can actually see life as is, not in those filters that I need this or I need this, or I don't have that, or I don't have that.
And what happens if you see your full potential, but then you go back to day-to-day life and you have, I don't know, payments to do, and you have children to raise, and too many invoices, and much too less income?
Yes, of course it happens. Journey is not kind of La La Land. when you've done the journey, you're not living in La La Land, you're living totally in this world. And of course there's things that challenges you. But if you do it from an open place and from a trusting yourself place, it becomes effortless. You just do it because you need to do it. So it's not like fighting. You're not fighting the world because you know the world is with you. You have this feeling from the inside, the world is there for me.
Oh, so it's a huge change from fighting against to opening towards.
Totally. And this is really the best gift I got from the journey. Life is here.
We had a few months ago a huge scandal with a TV presenter which said that cancer can be somebody's best friend or somebody's best gift.
Okay.
And then lots of doctors, they raged and they said you cannot say such a thing. You have to see all the patients that they are dying out of cancer and out of so many diseases. So what is a disease actually?
I would say it's some blockage in your energetical system. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not talking medical. I'm a computer engineer who's doing emotional work.
Like actually, we are kind of a computer.
Yeah, well, we're much better than computers.
Okay.
Because there's always the extra, rather than the formula, there's always the extra thing, the extra factor.
Those are emotions.
Emotions, energy, and love.
Oh, okay.
But I would say that from our point of view, it's a block, some energetic blocks in your system. Any disease. Now, some of them can come out as cancer. Some of them can come out of as any physical phenomena, or any other diseases. Some of them could be behavioral as well, like your automatic behaviors, compulsive behaviors, need to do whatever. This is what I would say this is. And okay, challenge or not a challenge, friend or not a friend, it depends how you take it. If you take it as an enemy, you fight it as you put a lot of energy in it, in the fighting, and there's no guarantee, and there's no guarantee you'll win the battle. If you embrace it and say, thank you for coming, what are you here to teach me? I'm talking, metaphorically. And then it might very well be the case that if you learn what it came to teach me, you can actually heal yourself and get yourself into an advanced stage of life or better stage in life. Then, okay, I've been in that place because I was lacking in something. There's something I've learned more, and now my life can be better.
Thank you so very much. I hope, I really hope we could. No, I want to join you actually in Israel
Please come over.
And to see what happened in Israel and how do you approach life, because you definitely don't have an easy life there, and you need all the help you can get. And why not? I want to have you in Romania.
I would love to come. I'd love to see you anyway. So either come over, I'll come over. Both. Let's do both.
Let's do both. Thank you. And the third part, it's with Faisal Hassan, and he's at the background. I will use normal words. He knows how to fix cars, all kind of cars. But from that point on, that he studied in Southern Africa. Then he went to Australia. Then he came back to Southern Africa to work mostly with children.
No, with everybody. And with the complete community. And a big part of that was working with children from school level right up to, I guess, adulthood.
And I want to ask you a little bit, come closer, because you have your wife, I have my husband here, so that's okay, we have the permission. Just tell me what I'm addressing to a lot of parents, and yes. I'm a parent, and of course I see things that makes my children suffering, and I don't know how to help them. What journey can do for them? Because sometimes it looks like a disease, like a behavior that we go to doctors to cure.
Sure. Well, as explained previously, there is two sides. The body's like a machine, and it does break down, and you have to fix it. where you need to go to a doctor. And then there is the emotional side of things. So to understand, our children are like sponges, okay? You come into this world on a very, very sharp learning curve. And who do we learn from? We learn from our parents, we learn from our school teachers, we learn from our friends, we learn from the bully in the playground, we learn just from life itself, even from our pets that we interact with. I love my dog loves me, and that's their reference for love, always by my side. So their frame of reference as a child, growing, developing, very different from the developed adult mind that can label things as being silly, or why are you such a crybaby, when truthfully the child does not know how to resolve a situation. And so they've learned very early that when I cry, I get attention, and when I get attention, that
may be solved.
Problem can get solved. And sometimes it doesn't get solved because they get put to bed and behave yourself, because it's judged as bad behavior.
Or you try to find out, okay, you cry, I give you some food so you don't cry anymore. So,
or I give you some money.
Oh, I give you some money.
Some pocket money. And then that sets up a behavior. Well, you know what, if I sort of perform a bit, I could get money. And that could go right up into your adulthood as being the dependent husband or being the dependent wife.
Oh, that hurts.
Well, you know, if I do this, I get that. And if I'm a good boy, you see, we grow up to understand.
You learn to manipulate, actually.
Oh, absolutely. Don't we all do that in some way?
No,
I'm sure.
Never.
I'm sure we don't. But look, as a child you are born, you come into this world, and then you start getting all these labels. The first thing is like, oh, a beautiful baby, or, ooh, I don't know, look at the nose, or the ears. So suddenly, mum comes along, dad comes along, that's my baby. So ownership starts to happen. My niece, my nephew. You go to school, my student, my good student, my not so good student. You even end up in a relationship, my wife, my husband. And in all of this, you've got to find yourself. And this whole world has already taken ownership of you. So you really got no idea who you are. You know what you have to do in order to get. But as spoken previously, I guess the real question is, who are you really? What do you like? What do you want?
What age were you
your
when
potential?
You started to ask this question?
Oh man, I was on the waiting list. I was in the waiting room for such a long time. I probably around 50.
Wow.
Yeah, no, sorry, 40 something, late 40s, where, led a successful life. Had 3 children, grandchildren, you know, the perfect picture. And yet, that did not feel complete, because I felt I was one of these achievers, one of these machines that just needed to do that in order to get that.
Get that, yeah.
And so I went on, I asked the question, well, who am I really? What am I about? What is my passions? What if I could just do something for me? And I could not think of what that would have been. I could tell you what to do for everyone else, because I knew what I would get back. I knew the payment, and that was attractive. But ultimately, I could not find myself in it. And so that is what sort of put me on a path of asking, look, I've just lived an everyday life. You know, I don't have a very high education standard, so the intellect, I sort of developed my skills physically. I could do lots of things, and those were my tools. So to engage in intellectual conversations, and that wasn't my thing. My thing was, well, what can I do? How can I be needed? Yeah, that's it. I made myself indispensable. And so if you needed anything, go and see Faisal. And when you came
How
to
did
see
that
Faisal,
make you feel?
Oh, amazing. That was the juice. That was the juice. But there was a price you paid for it. It burnt you out. And guess what? When you couldn't do it anymore, then you were just put to the side. And that was painful.
That hurt.
It hurt. I've never had physical ailments, nothing to heal physically, but I had deep emotional scars from my childhood.
How come?
Parents were of different faith. So one was Catholic, one was Muslim. The two never met. And so the relatives on the Muslim side had nothing to do with those on the Catholic side, and vice versa. So we were left in this middle of things. Born in a country that practiced separation, apartheid, in South Africa. I was so-called classified as a colored. Colored people live there, you do that, you say this, you don't do that. So
you don't mix with the others.
No, you don't mix there, you don't cross the lines. So life was very defined, very constraining. You were taught how to be, and truthfully, within all of us, there's this innate genius, if you want to call it,
yes,
potential, that never ever gets realized. We really don't know what we are capable of doing, because we believe that if we fail, man, no one is going to want to know us, so we don't even bother to try. We don't want to step out of the square, and that way we stay so small.
But what I've discovered is sometimes you're afraid not so much of a failure, but what happens if you succeed?
Most people strive for success, but you know, they strive for success for different reasons. Sometimes it's to prove something to community, sometimes it's in order to get. There's nothing wrong with success. It's great to have nice things. Man, if we had no money, we would not be on holiday.
Yeah.
Okay? So being poor, struggling, it's just a situation that people find themselves in through circumstances of life. So you cannot say to somebody, you know, you have no right to be successful or have more than the next person. What life teaches us, though, it teaches us to judge. And this is our failing, because we will judge the person who does have, and we'll judge the person who doesn't have. You know, and that will only come from our filters or our reference of our childhood and our upbringing.
So what could we do with the journey method, or with all the methods that exist, to provide for our children a free childhood, just the environment to be themselves?
Yeah, look, it always points back to the parent. Okay? You know, simply ask yourself, are you truly living your life in your fullest? You know, and if you're not, then ask yourself the hard questions, why not? And you might, you know, realize, well, if I had a closer relationship with dad or this or that, I'd be living a different life. So start to empower your children. Firstly, become clear of how the words you use when you speak to your children.
Okay.
You know, if a child doesn't do something correctly, do not put a label on them. Show them a better way to do it, and give them the option or encourage them to try it that way, rather than making them wrong. You know, the word try is such a disempowering word.
Yes.
Because try itself tells you you can't do it. If I had to say to you, try and stand up, it's like me saying to you, you can't stand up, you have to try and stand up. So cross out try. Stop telling your children to try and do this and try and do that. Rather say to your children, you can do this, or let me show you how.
They'll say, I can't.
Well, that's where you start. Well, let me show you how.
Okay.
Okay? But we make things wrong. We make children wrong. We start to put labels on them. And of course, they are developing their sense of identity. And identity is just another psychological description that the mind gives you.
And also, we in Romania, I think not only in Romania, we have this thing of punishment. If you did this wrong, well, you have to have a punishment, so you learn from the next time not to do it anymore.
Does it really work?
No.
Because a lot of times you've got to punish them again, and punish them again until they are no more your problem, and they adults that go out into the world, and they become someone else's problem, whoever they meet. So punishment, sure. You know, discipline, I would say, rather than the word punishment. Punishment was used, you know, from the Dark Ages. We've moved to a time now where we use words like discipline, positive action, another way, how can you do it better, and being supportive of your child's journey in life.
Well, that's a full-time job.
Not really. It gets easier as they grow up, because guess what? If you are empowering your child's going to start to do better things, and they're not going to have to be watched all the time, continually. But if you take them from a baby, and you know what? Ultimately, you become what you think. And so, who puts the thoughts there? I think as parents, we've got to take responsibility for a lot. And, you know, sure, things happen in the school playground that gives us our so-called personality, whether it's one to withdraw or whether it's one to be, you know, overt in your communications or actions. So we all end up with a personality. And there's nothing wrong with having a personality, because a lot of the personalities have a healthy aspect to them as well. But it's just the unhealthy ones that our children end up with, which ultimately we end up with as adults. We just have a much more sophisticated way of sharing that. As children, there is an innocence. They say if you want to know the truth, ask the child. And because they just speak it. So they haven't developed that finesse that us as adults use to carry ourselves. And you know what? Pardon the French, but it's all still a lot of crap. Us as adults, walking around, we are still very much just a different version, or a more sophisticated version of children in some ways. So,
yeah. What do you do with the child that goes to school, let's say your child, and comes back like a teenager, full of rage and I hate you, I don't want to see you again. What's happening there, and what could you do? Because it's pushing all your buttons.
Well, as an adult, are you talking what can you do for yourself or for the child?
I don't know, for yourself to calm down. For the child, because I don't know if it's pain in there also.
Look, the children, as an adult, sure, have the frustrations. And you touched on it previously, you know. There's take care of the home.
Yeah.
No more housewives, we're now home executives.
Home executives, I love that.
We look after the house, which includes the children and everything else that happens. And it's very demanding. Most executives will tell you it's hard being an executive, okay?
Yeah, but now women are house executive and also working.
Sure. I think ultimately we are capable of doing everything, of being in every part of life. Where the problem comes in is if we are allowing what we do to consume us. And if we allow whatever we are doing to consume us emotionally.
Okay, so the perspective, actually, the way you see. Okay.
Definitely. To go into the tools and there's a strange thing. It's not so much what you do, but it's the drive that makes you do what you do, because it's within that drive where all the pain and suffering is, and the pleasure.
Okay.
So we need to hold ourselves to that standard and ask ourselves that question: what is my motivation? What is the drive? Why am I doing this? Why am I buying into the story? And most importantly, to always ask ourselves, can we speak the truth? And I would challenge a lot of people. Can you actually speak the truth? The honest, just the truth of what you feel. Not dress it up, not make it look attractive, not make it so that it's acceptable for somebody else, but just to speak the truth as to what you feel, whether it's to your employer, to your partner, to your children, to actually say to your children, you know what, I'm scared too.
Wow.
And you know, sure, it's a cliche, the truth will set you free. And ultimately, I don't know that, because it depends on the reaction to the other person. But whoever speaks the truth, there is a sense of freedom in that for yourself. It's like, I'm so glad I have said that. Whatever it is, even as a husband or a wife, to say, I saw somebody today and I was so attracted to that person. I don't know why, but that is the truth.
But that will hurt your partner.
And if the partner comes from truth, can turn around and say, well, what did you see there that's not here? What love is missing here?
And
like that, as you speak the truth, you'll come to a place of acceptance. And it's like, well, it's not about me, it's about you. You see, the whole thing is, nobody can give you anything. All they can do is touch on a point of reference within you, and then you make the great story about it. Nobody can give you love. You look at somebody and you say, wow, you turn me on. No, they don't turn you on. I turn myself on when I see you. That's what happens in reality. So people need to start to look at themselves and take ownership of their crap or whatever it is that's happening in life. Ourselves, we are this walking, talking person of emotions. Very quickly, the way we communicate from a conscious level, which is, it's like almost like a godly voice. You know, it's so righteous. We speak from a conscious place where we're fully aware of what we are saying, and we also speak from an unconscious place. That's the one that gives us trouble, because that unconscious space is really influenced by our whole life, and we are not aware of it.
And there you can work with
That's
tools
where the journey works
method.
on. Get down to the unconscious behavior, that automatic behavior. Why do I do what I do? And I don't know why I do what I do. The journey can guide you to find out, well, why do you react rather than respond to a problem? And a reaction is this word, as the word says, react. Same thing. A response is different. So to move from reacting to responding, you need to find out, why do you do that in the first place?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For all the responses, and I could go on like that for hours, days, because
you could.
It's a little bit frustrating though when you go and try to fix your child, and every time the answer is the same: fix yourself.
Oh, well, maybe there's the truth in that.
And then see, because I've seen children working with journey method, and what for us it takes 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, they in 10 minutes, it was that. I had fear for, I don't know, a dog or something because of that. Oh, no more fear. That's it. 10 minutes and
They
done.
haven't learned to be sophisticated yet and hold on to the story and get the value out of the story as adults do.
No, we are sophisticated.
Oh, wow, yeah, we learn how to work it, and we work it pretty well.
And now, because you're my last guest, please tell them that we are watching, why should they try method of healing like journey method?
Look, any healing, whether it's the journey, whether it's whatever it is, if you can live a more positive life, you are going to contribute to the world on a much different level. You'll interact with your children differently. They say
business too?
In every area of life, you know, so you owe it to yourself, pretty much. That's the bottom line. You weren't born to be a dummy. You weren't born to be used, abused, and controlled and manipulated and so on and so on. You were born to be free. You were born to contribute. You were born to have compassion. You were born to share the gift and talent that you are. And these are all the questions to ask yourself. How am I living my life?
Thank you very much. I don't know if I'm able to do the finale because I have tears in my eyes now, but I will try to put a very professional. No, I cannot wear a mask.
Don't be sophisticated.
I won't. But please allow me to do it in Romanian.
Sure.
Thank you very much
so much
again. Asta a fost de ziua Americii. De aici ce pot să spun decât că iubesc viața și iubesc, meseria care mi-a permis întotdeauna să întâlnesc oameni extraordinari și care cumva să-mi schimbe și mie viața și să participăm cumva la schimbarea vieții celor din jurul nostru. Vă mulțumesc foarte mult pentru faptul că ne-ați urmărit. Îi mulțumesc și soțului meu care a organizat pe aici toate lucrurile tehnice. Vă mulțumesc vouă, colegilor din misie, la mulți ani tuturor americanilor. Ne vedem săptămâna viitoare, design perfect, luni la ora 10 și marți, ca care să putem la Sănătate, TRUP și SUFLET. Rămâneți pe Canal 33, seara minunată!
Mulțumim foarte mult, Roxana, pentru această transmisiune specială din Statele Unite. Au fost insight-uri foarte, foarte interesante din metoda Journey despre cum să trăim viața mai pozitiv și să aducem mai mult impact în viața celorlalți. Te așteptăm alături de noi în platou săptămâna viitoare la emisiunea Design Perfect. Iar dumneavoastră vă mulțumim pentru atenție și vă invităm să rămâneți alături de programele Canal 33. O seară frumoasă!